Hi, Orin. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Feeling good up here.
You're feeling real good.
Real good.
That's what I like to hear.
You woke me up.
Yeah. I woke up the giant. I woke up the dragon. Yeah. Well, first, welcome to Radio Region.
Thank you.
My name is Anthony. They know me as Cool Breeze Curtis. It's a pleasure to talk to you on Radio Region. Thank you for taking the time to come down to the studio. Good to be here. Great. And we're going to talk about your evolution, your vision, your mission, and your spirituality with your music. But before we get into the meat of things, I want to ask you, what is your time like outside of music?
I don't have much time outside of music, you know? I'm a 24/7 kind of guy, you know what I mean? So this is all I do, all day, every day.
Really?
From the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, it's music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I just took a vacation, you know, the first time in 7 months.
Really?
Because I had, you know, August I had off. But now I'm right back into it again.
Right
so,
on.
you know,
Great.
I'm blessed to keep on working all the time.
Okay, so where did your love and passion for music come from, and how did that influence your style as a musician?
You know, well, coming up, you know, my mom was always playing music. My dad was always playing music. So, you know, I kind of got hooked.
Yes.
Then I'm pretty sure my first bass experience was every Christmas. My dad used to play this Sal Soul Orchestra.
Oh, I love that.
Right? And for some reason, that's the funkiest Christmas album in the history of man. You know,
I have that album. Everybody plays that album.
Right? So if you listen to the bass on that,
it's killer.
It's killer. So yeah, and it's just like and it's like all the basses is like boom, and so I was like, so as a kid, I must have heard that,
right?
And I said, you know, that's the instrument I want to play.
Right.
So I've been doing it, you know, since 12 years old.
Okay. That man, and who was instrumental in shaping your career musically?
Well, I have a lot of people, you know.
Throw some names up there.
Salome Bay was one of the early, you know, adopters. When I was about 18, I was always gigging since I was about 14.
Right.
And she was the one who, you know, pulled me out of a club and said, you know, young man, can you read music? I said, sure can.
Wow.
And before I knew it, I was touring with her.
And now, how was that experience like for your young man and this big artist come up to you?
Well, I knew of her because my mom used to take me to, you know, her plays, Indigo and that kind of thing when I was a kid.
Right.
But the scope of it really never dawned on me, because, you know, I get this call.
Right.
And then I saved the message, and I played it for my mom. It's my mom who freaked out.
Okay.
That's when I knew it was something, you know.
Right.
And then, you know, you start to realize, wow, this is kind of cool, you know. So, you know, she was a real early adopter to, you know, put me on and, you know, showing me what could happen, you know, through music. So, you know, there's been plenty, you know, a lot of cats that have been on this show. Matadi, you know, like Studio 12, like back in the day, like, you know what I mean? I was going down there and I wasn't even old enough to really be there. I used to sneak in and he used to turn a blind eye because I could play, you know? Right. And then, you know, you'd be meeting cats like, you know, Xander and all these guys that are like killer musicians, local. I'm talking, Toronto's always had world-class musicians. Always. And they used to all congregate in a place called Studio 12. We used to call it Matadi's.
Where's this?
This was at Queen and Ossington. Back in the day. This is the 80s. I was like 17 years old.
All right.
And I was just getting schooled and playing and that's where I hold my chops. So a lot of cats, you know, Bruce Garrett used to be in Salome's band. That guy's dangerous, you know, like, you know.
On my show.
Yeah, so that's the reason I'm here. I said all these cats that, you know,
I brought to the studio.
Influenced me. I said, oh, this guy must be doing something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I said, I got to pass through, you know. Matadi, Bruce Garrett, you know, schooled me back into this, still schooling me to this day. I go check him and he just blows my mind every time. Eddie Bullen.
Oh, you know, icon
in this town, killer. And, you know, he was the first one it influenced me to get into producing, because I was strictly bass in my early days.
And
strictly bass.
He spoke about that on his when
because he didn't know that until about maybe half a year ago, whenever we saw each other in the beginning of the summer, or whatever it was.
Right.
And I finally told him. You know what I mean? I was holding that secret on. And I said, one day I'm going to tell him. And it was, it took about 20 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I finally said, yeah, he was the one who influenced me to get into production.
He revealed it on the Cool Breeze experience. I'm grateful for that. Listen, tell the people where you're from, and what your roots background.
My roots, well, I was born here. Okay. I'm a proud Canuck. I'm a proud Canadian. But my parents are from Guyana. So I'm of Guyanese heritage.
And high school you went to?
High school I started off grade 9 in Bathurst Heights.
Right.
Which is, Lawrence Allen Jungle, and then I went to George Harvey Collegiate. So that was, when I moved more in Eglinton West. Went to Harvey.
Nice. No, tell me.
And I would be remiss to say that while I was at Harvey is where I really had my love. I had a great music teacher named Mr. Love, who unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, but we remained friends for 30 years.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
When you find someone, especially the teacher, in those formative years, you find someone that, I was kind of off the beaten path. I didn't want to really go. I just wanted to do music. I didn't want to care about anything else.
Right.
Music. And even though I was in school, he gave me a lot of leeway and opened my eyes to the possibilities. So,
wonderful. That is wonderful.
If I don't give him due, that'd be remiss.
Yes. Well said. What is your definition of musical success? I know everybody is different.
Everybody's different.
I want to hear yours.
Musical success to me is being able to play what you want to play.
Right.
How you want to play it. Some people would say, okay, it's a chops thing. Well, if your goal is to be the best, musician, and it's a lifelong journey. Right. But if you could get to a point where you could appreciate where you are and other people could appreciate where you are, I would think that would be success. Okay. There's many ways to look at it, but my evolution's a really kind of crazy little ride because when I was coming up, all I wanted to be was the world's best bass player. That was my goal. Okay. Nice. And then that's all I aimed for. Yeah. And then as you grow, as you evolve, as things change, you change with it. Right. So now it's funny. I haven't actively played bass since 2004. Ever since Mike Bullard went off the air, I decided, okay, this is a time to focus on, other musical, still a musician 24/7, but not with a bass in my hand. Really? Yeah, I don't play a lot.
I've got a picture of you on my website lined up with a whole bunch of bass there.
Yeah, I still have every one of them though.
And when you said that you don't play, I said, no, this guy's got to be kidding.
No.
Don't let termites eat that wood.
No, they're sitting there in my studio, and I look at them, and every now and then I pick one up, and if I'm going to play a bass, it's very simple. It's just to do, because I'm more, I do television production now and live show production and that kind of thing. And, the market for, the chops on the bass, it's not a big market out there. I'm doing other things. So, unfortunately, I don't play as much as I did. All right. But I'm not disappointed about it. No. I'm happy. I had that phase of my life. Like, what could be better? Yeah. You hone your craft. Right. You get the ability to play on a national television show. Right. 5 nights a week or whatever it was, with a bass in your hand. And joking around, jokes and bass. That's all I had to do. Are you kidding me? And I had to get it easier or better than that. It doesn't get better than that. No. So you know what? As far as I'm concerned, that was the pinnacle of when I played bass, and I'm happy. Right. That's amazing. I came on the as a fan in Mike Bullard show. And when you look at the guy on TV, he seemed kind of dry. But when you see him live, he was absolutely hilarious. He's brilliant. And then when I saw you with the band, I go, I said, one day, when I got this show, I said, gotta get Orin. I gotta get Orin. He was just ripping up that bass. When you go to commercial, man. And what could be better? The energy. I came on that show twice, and I go, Orin's gotta come down to the Cool Breeze experience, man. Here I am. Yeah. Tell us. I'm wondering,
Is there a time when you're in the instrument alone, and tell us about that intimacy?
Well, I'll tell you something. The bass is, I fell in love with the instrument.
All right.
Like, I fell in love with it. Like,
Right.
when I was 12 years old, I put the bass. If I could actually have it in my bed and not roll on it, I would. But I put it right by a stand, right beside my bed.
Right.
So the first thing I saw in the morning was a bass. You know what I mean?
Wow.
The last thing I touched was a bass. Like,
Wow.
I'm talking, when I say I was like
Obsessed.
obsessed.
I know what you're talking
I'm
about.
talking obsessed. And the great thing about it is, you know, I used to have, you know, crazy bass bins in my house. I'm talking, I had, there's no...
Trino.
I'm talking
Marshall.
I'm just talking. No, I would have
That's boogie.
I would have DJ speakers. So
Okay.
50 scoops,
Yeah.
like, you know, any
Yeah.
you know, any
18 inch, 15 inch, 21 inch.
Vegas. Man, I'm talking. I was that guy.
Police will be visiting your
So
house.
I was, you know, rattling the place.
Wow.
And God bless my mom. You know what I mean? My mom's attitude.
She made
was-
it happen.
Yeah, my mom's attitude was, hey, when I hear that bass, I know where he is.
Right, exactly. It's a safe place.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So anytime
Yeah.
she heard the bass, she knew where I was.
Right.
And that's all I needed.
That's
like,
listen. I played the bass in high school, the upright.
yes.
And everybody had to take their instrument home to practice.
Yeah.
And see me, cool breeze with this big monster coming down on the omnibus. That's on the
Yeah.
the Oakwood had the rubber
I-
wheel. They call the omnibus. And I'm trying to get out the back in rush hour with this thing and go home and practice my bass. And I'm sorry I never continued because I love the instrument. You hear my tunes I
I'm
selected for
telling you,
you.
like that, I was just like, whoa. When this guy said he want to put the bass up in the studio, I was like, this guy's not playing around.
This is what I'm saying.
But that was
Bass
the
monster.
that was the love of the instrument.
Oh, yeah.
I did the whole thing with the upright. I mastered the TTC with an upright.
Wow.
Mastered it.
Wow.
You know, it's all in how you hold it.
Yeah.
You have to go up the stairs backwards.
Yes, you do.
Don't try and hold it forwards and go up. It's impossible. Go through. That's the little tip to any bass players
Yes.
riding the TTC. I don't
Yes.
see it much, but
Yeah.
you know, an upright bass players go up the stairs backwards.
Yeah, so I had to take this thing home in the winter and practice, and
Yeah.
I regretted not continuing that thing, but you know, who knows, one day. Anyway, this bass thing, man, I love everything. I always, any music I listen to, regardless, I gotta hear that bass line first, because that sets the tone for the music. It's like the pulse.
It is the pulse. It's the foundation.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I fell in love with the instrument. How many instruments, right? Without getting all technical, how many instruments can you feel? How many instruments are dictating tone and rhythm at the same time? Especially,
Bass.
you know, when it starts to
Thump
get into
and bass
thump and all that. Like,
when
you know,
that
it
energy
becomes
control.
percussive now. It becomes, you know, melodic
Yes.
with the lead lines.
Harmonic.
It's harmonic. And the thing is, the bass is new.
Yeah.
It's a fairly, you know, recent instrument.
Thanks.
You know.
Thanks to Leo Fender.
Yeah,
And the Fender
exactly.
bass, he
You know,
put it together.
He put it all together.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like it was new. And when I was coming up, you know, when I heard guys like Stanley Clark,
Oh man, I went crazy. Yeah, Jaco Pastorius.
you know, Jaco. When I heard Stanley Clark, I
James
said,
Jameson.
that, I didn't.
Oh,
You would hear these records and you wouldn't know.
No, until you did some research.
right?
Right.
But when someone introduced me to Stanley Clark, I said, that is it.
Yeah.
That's the way I want to play it.
Yes, I hear you.
So, you know, when it comes to inspiration, I hope I'm not jumping ahead here, but when
No,
it comes to
go ahead.
inspiration,
You do your thing.
Stanley
your
Clark
Was the man.
was the man,
Yeah, for
you know.
sure.
And when he came to Toronto, I got a great,
I saw him twice.
you know, he came to Toronto back in the day at the club down the street there.
Yeah. Masonic Temple?
No, the actual club.
Oh, it's on Spadina.
Diamond, it used to be called
Okay,
back in the day.
Diamond.
I don't know what it's called now, but Diamond used to be, you know, I was too young to get in,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
So this is how crazy obsessed I was.
Yeah.
I camped out on the front of the Diamond steps and waited for the manager to come in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the story quick, right?
Yeah.
I said, look, I'm a young bass player. Stanley's basically my hero.
Yeah.
I want to see him. He said, you're too young. It's not gonna happen.
Hit
Get
the
out,
road.
get out of here, kid. Came back the next gig. Did it again. Came back 3 days in a row. I camped out on his steps because if he came in, he had to come out.
So he had to go through you.
Right? And he had to go through me. By the third day, he goes, you know what? Obviously, this kid, you know,
So something going on.
something going on.
Let me deal with this.
You know, And he goes, you know what, I'll think about it. I said, once he said, I think about it, I said, I got you.
Yeah.
Got my mom to call in.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you know, she said, look, he's not a smoker or drinker. He's not going to, you know,
Nice.
go against any laws. He just wants to see his hero.
Wow. Yeah.
So he said, okay, VIP'd me in, got to meet Stanley, got to see the show, and it was the greatest night of my life.
Well, I saw Stanley Clarke with the George Duke project at the El Mocambo in the early 80s.
Yeah.
The energy was great, and you see the racks of the processors they had. It was just lighting up like
Everything.
downtown Tokyo.
Yeah.
I came out of that El Mocambo with my ears ringing for about 3 days because the acoustics in there.
Yeah.
But the music was just incredible.
Think about the George Duke project.
Oh,
Great, right?
whoa.
Now, I had the opportunity
Oh.
to bring George Duke onto the Bullard Show.
Right.
And so, you know, here I am with, you know, one of my idols, you know, and I'm playing with him,
Yeah.
doing my music with George Duke playing.
Right.
And I close my eyes and I hear one of his patented licks.
Oh, man.
And I go, man, that's a George Duke lick.
You know that.
You know that
I
lick, right?
used to play 10 keyboards.
And then, yeah,
surrounded.
and then when I looked over my left, I go, hey, that's George Duke.
Yeah.
And I said,
He didn't play.
this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, that like I'm saying, when it comes to, you know, the ability to play and the ability to play with some of your idols, like one of my modern idols
Doesn't get any better
you
than
know, was Victor Wooten. I had Victor Wooten on the show, and you want to talk about bass, like
bass, yeah.
he might be a little too much for, you know, the
Yeah.
average person to digest.
Quite
like
true.
that, because he's like he's best in the world.
I saw it live.
Yeah, so when I've been able to pull these guys on the show and play with them, what could be better?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what I'm saying. That was the pinnacle. That was the height of when I'm doing this bass thing.
Yeah.
The Bullard Show was the height of it.
Right
you know?
on.
So when that went down, I said, you know what? I've been there. I don't like to try and repeat myself too much. Moved in a different direction.
Orin, I gotta ask you something. What it is about an instrument that seems to get women all wrapped up in it's musicians and the instrument that have some kind of magnet because back in the 80s I almost lost 2 glamour girls, but let me be clear, I recovered them. What it is about an instrument and a musician and an instrument.
It's an extension of your personality. Right? It's an extension of you.
Yeah.
It's something that they can always hear.
Yeah.
Right? That they might not be able to hear from you.
Right.
But they can always hear from your instrument.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it depends what kind of music you're listening to. Right?
Right.
If you're in rock and roll music, bass is not at the forefront. That's a guitar.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah.
a guitar.
Yeah.
But, you know, soul, funk, it's all about
Bass.
that bass.
Reggae
bass. You know what I mean? So I think it's definitely an extension of you. So if you can't talk to a person, like, have we talked to anybody that you played previously? No. But you heard the extension of their personalities, right?
Yes.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Wow. I mean, this is at Radio Region for those of you just tuning in. Orin Isaacs, music director. He was the music director of the Mike Bullard Show and bass producer. He does everything. The man has some impressive credentials, and let me tell you, over 2 decades. Orin Isaacs has been composing music for hit TV shows, producing gold and platinum selling records, or musically directing some of the world's biggest artists. Best known for being the musical director of Canada's longest running late night show, traditional talk show, variety show, Open Mic with Mike Bullard. Orin is also the country's most in-demand TV composers. You've heard his work on shows like Big Brother Canada, Amazing Race Canada, Canada's Walk of Fame, the Juno Awards, Canada's Smartest Person, Hockey Night in Canada, Canada Got Talent, the Canadian Screen Awards, Canadian Idol, Battle of the Blades, Canada Sings, Top Chef Canada, Chop Canada, Intervention Canada, Storage Wars. Never ever do this at home. Undercover Boss Canada, Ice Road Truckers, Project Runway Canada, 2000-2008 Grey Cup, the NHL Awards 2006, Torino 2002, Salt Lake Winter Olympics, the NHL Awards, Stars on Ice 2015, Pan Am Games 2016, Copa America. As a band lead and musical director, Orin has worked with international superstars like Mariah Carey, Martina McBride, Natasha Bedingfield, Billy Ray Cyrus, Kid Rock, Roger Hudson, Lionel Richie, Patti LaBelle, Richard Marx, Paul Schaefer, George Clinton, Deborah Cox, Brett Michaels, Macy Gray, David Cox, Rich Little, Dennis DeYoung, Paul Anka, Tom Jones, Anne Murray, Martin Short, Burton Cummins, and William Shatner. He has also received a Harry Jerome Award for Professional Excellence, AVA Award, Urban Music Industry Special Achievement Award, the Real Black Award, Inside Productions Crew Inductee, Men of Excellence Award, and a spot of the Men on the Move calendar, as well as the several awards for his active community service. Orin has been a mentor for the Fresh Arts
program,
and the Remix project, and is currently a regular lecturer at the Harris Institute. Where do you got some impressive credentials there, man?
I've had a great career.
Right.
It's like,
Blessed.
Yeah, blessed. Like I said, it's 24/7, and it's a matter of you do one thing right for the right person,
Right.
and the word gets out.
Right.
And it's been getting out for the last 25 years.
Wow. I've got to ask you, what collaborations fascinates you?
Collaborations depends. If I was back in my musical days, anybody who was better than me.
Okay.
If we're talking about me, if we're talking about other people, if we're talking about me, I just wanted to play.
Right.
I wanted to play with anybody and everybody.
Wow.
So that's what I like to mix it up. Like, so if I was strictly into hip hop back then. I was a hip hop head.
The era.
The hip hop head.
Yeah.
So I'd love, fusing that with, like, when I was dealing with in my early days. Like, if you heard the record, the cut I played, it was hip hop based, and that was '99. But
Sounds really
so
good.
I love those collaborations where I can take the instrument and play for. Let's say, people who are versed in what they're hearing, they're hearing something.
Yeah.
But also the people who just go, hey, this feels good. I don't know what I'm hearing, even I'm ripping it up.
Yeah.
It just feels good.
Good, right.
Because maybe the beat is hip hop. Or like, the Calabash track, that's Caribbean.
Yeah.
And that just feels good, because that reminds me of the roots. I used to play Caribbean all the time.
Really?
So all of a sudden now I'm you're fusing all this stuff, and it's about making people feel good at the root of whatever they're into.
Right.
So when it comes to collaborations, I love stuff like that, where you can mix the cultures and you spread it around, where you can go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, because I've never heard it that way.
Okay.
If to me, if you do too much of one thing, does it spread? Does it grow? Does it evolve? I don't know, but if you mixing things, like
diversify the portfolio.
Diversify the portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and have some fun with it.
Yeah. With all these matrix and paradigm shifts in the music industry, it seems like a very different place today. Are you happy with it?
Well, no. No, because it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because, it's a massive disruptor.
Right.
Right? But on one hand, when it comes to the music business, right? No, I'm not happy, because everybody's struggling to figure out how to make it work. But on the other hand, it's the best time, because, well, look at you, right? Like, you can have this radio station, and you can be like, I saw you just fielding calls from Florida and people from Trinidad calling you, and all these people calling you, and I'm going,
California.
That wouldn't be possible if the technology didn't allow it.
That's
right?
true.
Think about it. You wouldn't be able to go on the net and have a worldwide audience. You'd only have an audience as far as your antenna can take you. So, you have to take the good with the bad.
That's right.
In the height of, 2004, when I kind of, shifted more into television, I kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
So, for the music industry, I hope they can figure it out with, the new technologies that are out there to help musicians get paid, because that's what I'm really about, having music, because there's some great musicians and you just can't figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
But on the other hand, I could sit at home, compose, TV shows and huge live events from my home studio and never have to leave.
Right.
And I have clients all around the world, because I just pump it out, pop it on the internet, they download it, and
Boom.
keep it coming. So you have to take the good with bad, but you have to move forward because
agree.
the technology is
agree.
not going to stay stagnant for too long.
I agree. Do you consider yourself a student or teacher of musicology?
I don't know what musicology is, but I'm definitely a student. Like I'm constantly learning.
Right.
Like when I'm not making music, I'm studying it.
Right.
So I can never be a teacher. I'm just not good enough.
Right.
Anybody who thinks they can be a teacher, they can only teach what they know,
Right.
and regurgitate what they know. You know what I mean? But it just takes that one kid to go, hey, but what about this? And they're going to do something that you've never seen before. It's never been done before, and change it, and then you got to move with it. So teaching, I think that's more about guiding people to find their potential.
Right.
Anytime they think that you're the guy, a teacher thinks that they're the guy, there's going to be a kid that's going to come around and show them it can be done differently.
Wow.
Guaranteed.
Well said. What skills, personal attributes are most important in being a successful musician today?
Don't be a jerk.
Okay.
It's really simple.
Right.
I'm not the greatest musician.
Okay.
Like everybody you've had on this show that I look up to is a way better musician than me. Like way better. Like I back in the day I can get around.
Right.
But as a full musician, no, I had to work hard. It didn't come naturally. It's all hard work. So but I have a very successful career. So I'm willing to work harder than most people,
Right.
and I'm trying not to be a jerk.
Right.
So you have to have that combination. But I would say if you work hard, that's better than natural talent any day.
Right.
Well,
Right.
I can only speak for myself,
Right on.
right? But I just work harder.
Wow. How does a musician monetize intellectual property in a manner where they get paid fairly?
Well, here's the problem.
Yeah.
It all depends what industry you're in. I got really hung up with this whole, illegal downloading and all this kind of thing. And then I heard an interview with a tech giant.
Okay.
And he put it in perspective. He said, some industries weren't built to last.
Wow.
Now think about what he said. That blew my mind. That was profound.
It is.
Right? He said some industries weren't meant to last.
Wow.
Right? So, how do you monetize it? It's a disruptive world right now in the music game. I've learned to monetize it because I'm still in an industry that monetizes music. Okay. Television will still pay you for your music. Live events will still pay you for your music. Okay. That's why I focused on that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So because as much as I'm a musician, I think I'm maybe even a better businessman.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? Like I saw the writing on the wall. Right. So I said, okay, I want to focus on where my copyrights mean something.
All right.
And intellectual property, right? So television still pays fairly, and still pays really good. So that's why the majority of my concentration is in that world.
Okay. Because sometimes I hear these sad stories. Musicians say every time their tune gets played on the radio, they get 8 cents. I couldn't fathom that. After all this hard work and the process they have to go through to get loose change, only when you go on tour.
Yeah, that's the problem, and then you have to put your music out there enough to not only get paid, but to have people listen to it, so that if you can do shows, you know what I mean, people come out to your shows. So right now, think about it. It's basically going back to 1950s. You have a song, you put it out there, and you put one of them out there, and hopefully it has enough of a draw that you can bring people to your live show where you can then convert them. Unfortunately, right now, music is called the lost leader. Meaning, it's basically like Loblaws. They're gonna have a sale on dish detergent.
To clear up the other.
Right? They're gonna have a sale on dish detergent, but they know once you're there, right? They'll take a loss on the dish detergent because once you're there, you're gonna buy some fruits. You're gonna buy some you're gonna buy some this. You're gonna buy some that. They'll hook you. They'll take a loss on one product to hopefully make sure you buy other products. Unfortunately, right now in the music industry, the actual music, the CD or whatever is the lost leader, because now you got to flip it and monetize other things. Your ticket sales, your merch, whatever you're trying to sell. Unfortunately, music is the lost leader.
Right. Did you ever envision, after all these years of music, on film, you would have such an impact on the Canadian music scene?
No, I still don't think I do. But it's great to know that one person who emails you and goes, dude, you were the reason I picked up a bass watching you on Bullard, you know?
Yeah.
And I get those, you know, couple a year, and, you know, that's when you go, wow, I did a little something. I did a little something, and I didn't realize I was doing it at the time.
Yeah.
But now that you look back, and these people still remember it. And I'm just like, this is crazy, you know, because they were, I guess, kids at the time. Now they're, you know, a little bit more grown.
Yeah.
They could track me down on the internet or whatever, and then go, you know, you're the reason I picked up a bass.
Wow.
So when I get those,
inspiration.
I go, okay,
good.
yeah, it makes me feel really good.
Now tell me, you playing anywhere in the foreseeable future?
No.
Because I would like to come and see you play.
I get that question so much, and unfortunately, no. My world has changed. You know, you can hear me. Like the funny thing is, you know, I do Amazing Race Canada. I do Big Brother Canada. Think about it. We get like 1 million, million and a half plus listening a week.
Right.
So in my own little way, I'm more content going. You have no clue that's me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it has nothing to do with the bass. It's all, or you know, whatever it is, music for reality shows or whatever I'm working on. You know, whatever it is, and at least I know 1.5 million people are listening to my stuff.
That's good. But let's say, for the sake of argument, the devil happened to torment you and say, "When you're picking up that bass and you're going to do something, I need an email and a phone call because I'm bringing my crew.
All right,
I'm coming out.
Hey, don't hold your breath.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive, brother." I got to tell you, when all is said and done, what impact would you like to leave on the music scene? How would you like to be remembered?
You know, I would like to be remembered as a guy that straight up wasn't that naturally talented, that worked hard at a passion and at a thing that he loved, and was still able to do it at one of the highest levels this country has to offer, and feed a family doing it. Because at the end of the day, that's all you want for people. Like I love life. I'm loving life, and I get to do that as a musician. What could be better? So if I had to leave anything, just to say, look, you don't have to be the most naturally talented person. Just work hard and don't be a jerk. And you know, well, some people might argue me on that, but you know what I mean? I'm not a jerk all the time. You know, but you know, just work hard and you can live a life. You can. I'm living the dream right now, and I just work hard at it. That's all.
Right on. I want to talk about all these collaborations you did in the past with music. Do you have any CDs of your own up there?
I have one CD of my own. It's called Where I'm From. It could be found somewhere online. I'll tell you what, if anybody were to ever ask me, hey, I want to have that album,
I need a copy.
I will make it digitally available.
I need a copy.
Yeah, it's called Where I'm From. It was my one and only. It was nice.
And thank you.
You already played a cut from it, you know.
Yeah, that was amazing. Any shout out to you for your friends, family, and so on? Throw it out there.
Hey, you know, I don't have too many friends.
Okay. Why is that? Too busy.
You know, it's just because I'm so in my own little world.
Wow.
You know, and I'm crazy focused, and I'll be honest, I just don't like distractions.
Okay.
You know, I just don't like this. I have way more, and I'm way content with my Facebook friends. You know, so here's a shout out to all my Facebook friends listening out, because how I found you and how we got introduced to each other was through Facebook. You know, I've seen your feed stuff come up, and I thought, okay, this is kind of cool. So Facebook allows me kind of, you know what I mean, to be out there, because I spend 98% of my time in my house, you know, making music.
Wow.
You know, so shout out to Facebook listening, family,
kids,
family, you know, but Facebook, they're my family. My kids are, you know, they're around here somewhere. One's in Italy, they're around. So if they checked out my Facebook feed, maybe they're tuning in.
That's great, man. It's been a pleasure. I once heard from the African musician Fela Kuti, Anikalapo Kuti. He once said, a musician is the greatest profession in the world. What's your take on that?
It's definitely one of the hardest. It's definitely fulfilling. But let's be honest. Profession and passion to me are two different things.
Okay.
I think being a musician is fulfilling as a passion and as a desire.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that as a profession have a really hard go at it.
Right.
You know? And if you can do it and make a living,
right,
then you're truly, truly blessed, because it's very difficult. I would love to sit here and go, yes, it's amazing, right, but it's a lot of hard work. And some people can still work hard and not really reap, you know, what I think maybe is what they deserve at the you know, because of their skill set on an instrument, you know?
Great. You were working on the road one day and a youngster walked up to you and said, Mr. Orin, I want to pursue a music career, I like your work.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them to?
I would say be well-rounded.
Yeah.
You know? I would say be a master at one thing and get really good, so that when you go out there and you want to switch it up, people take you seriously enough to have you be able to branch out other than that one thing, so you could be then a master of none. So become a master at one thing, right, so you can be good enough and get enough respect to be a master at none, and then do it all. Right. Do not put yourself in a corner. I love the bass. Right. Bass is, you know, that's at my heart. Right. But like I said, I have no problem putting it down to pursue what I'm pursuing today.
Okay. Tell me, before we tune out, working Bullet, what was that experience like?
It was great.
Yeah.
This guy was, like I said, you really couldn't get a full scope of what he can do in the confines of television.
Really?
But I'll tell you one thing.
Okay.
When we first got on the air, we went to a golf tournament, and the MC bailed. They asked Mike, hey Mike, would you mind filling in to do the MC duties? He said, sure, no problem. He looked on the sponsorship board at the back of the hall and goes, okay, let's start here. Who's from, you know, ESO? Table 14. Okay. His classic opening line, where are you from? What do you do? He ended up going down the whole sponsorship board for about an hour, right? Tied the whole room together, had everybody in stitches. After that 1 hour, I picked up the phone and I called my wife and I said, you know what? We're going to be all right. If you want to finally get that house, let's go pick one.
Wow.
And that was the house I still live in today.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
And not too many people know that, right?
Yeah.
He's brilliant. Period. End of story.
Okay. And for some of the fans and bass players out there, tell me, what are the... I've seen so many different bass manufacturers out there. 5-string, 4-string, 6-string, Chapman. What's different with the different brands? Is it a sound?
It's a sound, it's a tone, it's a feel. You know, I when I was lucky enough, when I was doing Bullard, I have my basses custom made by a luthier in town named Vadim. And he made, to me, the best handcrafted. See all those basses on the website, those are all Vadims.
Vadim.
Right? You know? So it's about the feel. Like when you can have something, it's like a pair of custom-made suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have something tailored for exactly your arm and your size, and then you get the sound you want, there's nothing to be better. Now, they're very expensive.
Right.
So I always tell young cats, hey, go get the bass off the shelf, the best bass you can afford, and get really good on there until you can, you know, up the level and keep upping the level. Right. So every manufacturer is going to have a different sound and different feel. Right. But hopefully one day, you know, for the bass heads listening out, you can get it to the point where you can get something custom made and it's like a tailor-made suit. And that's when you really fall in love with the instrument. When it doesn't fight you.
Right. Is there a particular amp you like to play with?
Absolutely not. Now, I have more bass amps, right, than possibly everybody I know. I have a storage room full. But if I would prefer not to have to carry those things around, they are heavy. I'll take whatever's in, you know, at the club or at the show. Right. So I have no preference, but I do. The only preference I have is I want a tweeter in it.
Okay.
Because I want to hear that tick. I want that bite and I want that tick. You know what I mean? I want that tick when I slap. You know what I mean?
Right.
So as long as it has a tweeter, I'm fine.
And who are some of the bass players you like coming up? Throw out some of them.
Ooh, I'll tell you. I can't necessarily throw out names, but I'll tell you, the whole gospel scene right now is pretty innovative. Like the guys coming up in the gospel, what I like about gospel, the new school gospel nowadays, is to me, it's the new school jazz. Right? So you check out what those cats are doing.
Funky, creative.
Yeah, creative with the changes, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
Like we're not, you're digging in the crates right now, and you're pulling out the stuff that people are recording. But these cats, the church guys, the drummers and the bass players, I'm always pretty impressed by what they're doing, because that's to me is the new jazz, is the new school gospel.
Wow, that is amazing, man. It's I gotta tell you, it's been a pleasure. You coming down to Radio Regent, and hopefully the next time I get you in the studio, possibly we can have a small amp in.
Cool breeze. You can keep.
I'll bring it out.
You keep pushing this bass thing, but it ain't gonna happen.
I'm obsessed with this.
I want to let people know what I can do, not what I can't do well anymore. You know what I mean?
It's been a pleasure, man. And I gotta get some of that CDs from your early stuff and whatever you have available.
I'll definitely send it to you.
I could play on Radio Regent and get my fans all excited. And like you said, with music, what's old is new again. Because you've never heard it.
Yes.
It's new. And we got to get these things out there and showcase, put the artists on a platform where a lot of the good music you don't hear on other networks. Yeah. And when I got my show on Radio Regent, I told my fans that I was going to bring in local, large, medium, and small, foreign and domestic. Bring them in, let them tell their stories. Get me a CD, I'll play the music, and we have fun and build a strong community with music. And
you do it. Like I said, when I saw your stuff popping up on my feed, I was like, hey, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Because you're pulling out the cats. You know what I mean? So you're definitely doing it. Mandate met. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you had fun. And Orin, thanks for coming to Radio Regent. Thanks for bringing your love to Radio Regent and the Cool Breeze experience, which manifests in our greatness.
Yes.
And let some of your fans know that to tune in to Radio Regent every Saturday morning. They have the time.
Definitely.
You miss my show, no problem. It's online. It gets archived.
You gotta love it.
And if you're looking for serious music, old school, whatever genre, funk, soul, disco, rare grooves, Afrobeat, Caribbean rhythm. The Cool Breeze is the man. We've got Diva D, who brings out a smooth soul, a funkiness, some gospel, some reggae. She's on a Friday from 3 to 5.
Oh, cool.
The Air Candy Show. That's how we roll at Radio Regent.
All right.
So it's a pleasure, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
It was fun.
Thanks a lot. We're going to get back to the music here. And, oh, yeah. That's cool.